All right, now that one tank is emptied and the other is filled, let's get back to it.
So, do you regret having presented yourself in that way?
No, because that's what I stuck to it. I didn't get a job right out of umpire school. It was a little bit into the spring of that year when I got called by the school to go to the Shenandoah Valley Baseball League, which is not actually a professional league. It's a college wooden bat league. It's like life in the minors. They travel. We as umpires traveled. Um, but instead of using the ceramic and aluminum bats that they use in the NCAA,
Mm-hmm.
they use wooden bats like they use in minor league professional baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because it's a very different response. The ball responds
Oh,
very
sure.
differently off of a wooden bat than it
Oh,
does a metal
sure.
one.
Oh, sure.
And so it gives scouts an opportunity to see what they're going to be like, and gives us an opportunity to show scouts and umpiring supervisors what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
And my second year, I went to the Texas Louisiana League,
Mm-hmm.
was young there,
Mm-hmm.
and was not with the best partner. I found out there was a political situation. I was never going to make it past the All-Star break
Hmm.
because the guy who I was paired with, his college partner was busy for the first half of the summer.
Okay.
But then once he freed up at around the All-Star break, he
Gotcha.
was ready.
Yeah.
So I was fired. And the whole first half, there was so much where he was setting me up to fail.
Wow.
And it was ejection after ejection every night. I was having some sort of issue. And I found out, through some piecemeal and through some of the other guys telling me some shit and whatever else, that it was basically because of this guy not being available,
Yeah.
which is what got me a job for at least half the season.
Well, that must have been really frustrating.
Yeah, yeah, because I wasn't there for the politics.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned, I knew every umpire that is in Major League Baseball is worthy of being in Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of other umpires who are equally as good, but aren't there
Mm-hmm.
because they're not political.
Wow. So, politics, as it were,
Yep.
made a career change for you then. Am I right? Did you
Pretty
then,
much,
after
yeah.
that, move into what? Law enforcement?
I actually went back to the Shenandoah Valley League
Oh, okay.
and got fired from that.
All right.
Um,
So, how are you
and it
processing
was
these rejections?
I was tough. I remember when I came home from that league, um, we went to Rehoboth. The family we went to Rehoboth Beach,
Mm-hmm.
and I just remember sitting on the beach in the summer, saying I shouldn't be here. I should be on the baseball field somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I got that information about politics and Major League Baseball and the umpires that get there from a book called Behind the Mask, written by an umpire named Dave Pallone, who was a major league umpire who was also gay.
Oh,
And so the innuendo there is that he's wearing a mask,
I understand.
pretending to be
Yeah.
something he's not,
Did you,
because it was not gay friendly then.
and did were you aware of any of that when you were umpiring?
Of my own sexuality or the
Both.
best advice to keep my mouth shut? Oh yeah, I knew that. Um, yeah, and that wasn't I wasn't telling people. I wasn't wearing rainbow colored clothing or bracelets or anything. It wasn't even really a thing then yet. to the mainstream degree that it is today.
Correct.
Um,
But I mean, did it
but
influence?
I also knew that would not be a good career move to go,
Okay.
grabbing some other dude by the ass and
Yep.
trying to play it off as just, locker room talk, as Donald Trump would say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with when I pretty much got brought back to the Shenandoah Valley League to be fired, and I was told that too at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there were some owners of the various teams in that league that didn't like me
Mm-hmm.
because when I was there the first time, it was the first time that the league used professional umpires. Up until then, it was just local college guys.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was really good baseball, they could muscle around those guys, intimidate them and whatever.
Right.
And, because if
Right.
you don't, you're not
Right.
coming back next year.
Right. Right.
So I didn't put up with that. And
Gotcha.
my partner that year didn't put up with it, who was also, by the way, in the Texas Louisiana League with me. He
Okay.
actually left us about halfway through our first year to go to that league. And he came back for a second year when I got there for the first time. And they weren't used to when you're kind of take charge as an umpire like that, you're often considered to be what's called a red ass,
Okay.
meaning that, you're fiery
Yeah.
and you want to fight right away.
Yeah.
We weren't like that, but we didn't back down either.
Right.
And they weren't used to that. So when one certain team lost in the playoffs, they wanted to blame it on me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't even belong in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And he made it known when I came back the second year that that was why. He said, "You're not going to last."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. I'm not going to stay here in this small town either.
Wow.
So
And
for me, it's a win-win.
seriously, that did not affect your self-confidence, your sense of self.
When I
How,
when I
I
went to
mean,
Rehoboth Beach,
okay. Yeah,
when I
talk more
went to
about.
when I was sitting there on the beach with the family, and I knew hockey was already over, and now baseball, as we kind of say, shit the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, what am I really going to do? Go back to the creativity that we talked about in
Mm-hmm.
Beep and Pep and the accelerated classes through junior high. I'm not just going to do any old thing. It's almost like, I mean, again, I try to stay a very humble person, but it's almost like ego. I had to be doing something cool.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while, I had a job at a grocery store. That was brutal. And I think my mom told me, I remember her saying, I think they know you're not going to stay there for long, being the reason why, they didn't warm up to me at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't. I just walked into the store manager, who was a parent on the football team for the Midget Mites,
Mm-hmm.
which is essentially how I got it, because dad called him and said, "Hey, you guys are hiring. I'm going to send Rusty for an interview. No special favors, but give him a shot, please." And I'm like, "Yeah, we'll take him."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Hey, this isn't." He knew I was working night shift, stocking shelves,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the first time I ever worked, regularly a night shift. And good warm up for police work and the Secret Service. Um, but he knew that it was not going to be a career for me.
Mm-hmm.
and was okay with that for that type of work. It's not like I
Hmm.
was running the deli department or anything.
Right.
But after a couple of months, I walked in. I came home one day, pulled out the phone book, pulled out an actual phone
Phone
book,
book. Whoa. Back in the day,
and
not
looked
everybody
up,
knows what those are today.
yeah, and looked up limousine companies
Oh.
because I wanted to get into bodyguard work, and that was kind of an entry level in that I'm not so much taking kids to the prom or doing a wedding as much as taking executives to the airport and
Okay.
driving them safely to the airport like a motorcade.
Well, you said you were interested in bodyguard work. How did
Hmm.
that come about?
Um,
I mean, where did that idea come from?
I was always interested in law enforcement.
Always
It's a
interested. What does
secret
that mean?
from a kid.
Watching.
You watch a John Wayne movie and you want to be a cowboy,
Okay.
or you want to rush a hill and take the hill.
Okay.
But a couple of days later, you come back to reality and you figure out what you really want to do with your life.
Yeah.
When I saw In the Line of Fire
Okay.
and the Kevin Costner Whitney Houston movie The Bodyguard,
Yeah.
I was like, that's what I want to do.
Now,
I had no idea
talk.
why.
I was going to say, I mean, there's something in you that wants
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
what?
it's not for everybody. That's not for everybody. I think you and
What?
I talked about this.
How do you talk about it? How do you describe that mindset, that feeling? What is
Just
it you
like
wanted to do?
just like being an umpire, just
There you
like
go.
being a referee, the good ones, it's a calling.
Okay.
And you don't know why you want to do it. It's just that it's what you want to do.
All right. I can relate to that as a teacher. Yeah. It was a
Yeah.
calling. Yeah. Okay.
And same thing with protection. There's a scene in the movie, um, in the Line of Fire.
Hmm.
The opening movie, Dylan McDermott's character was almost killed in an undercover sting operation. And so now he's all shaken up. Clint Eastwood has him in a bar having a cocktail, and he's sitting there playing the bar's piano. And Dylan McDermott's line is, I joined the Secret Service because I wanted to protect people. He didn't want to do this criminal shit. He just wanted to, look good on CNN. And Clint Eastwood says, the idea of throwing yourself in front of a gun, hoping like hell that the bullet hits you instead of the person you're protecting. You find that appealing? And every time I hear that voice or hear that line, I smile and say yes. Because it's a different person that can do that. It's a lot of very intense training, and not everybody makes it through. We talked about that a little while ago, I think. I went to a seminar by a security company that I actually worked for temporarily, and he had a cap gun.
Hmm.
He said, now, when this happens today, I want you to react in whatever you have to do to resolve the situation. He didn't say to save your life. He said to resolve the situation. And about halfway through the afternoon, he pulls a gun and starts shooting. I promise you, you will learn who your friends are. Because they will kick you and pull at you to be the first one out that door.
Whoa.
I was the only one that went and tackled him.
No kidding. So you don't see this as any kind of self-destructive urge?
That has actually never been presented to me, even being in therapy. Like I have a death wish or something.
That's what I'm asking.
Hey, gang, if you haven't figured out by now, we're doing a series. So, we're going to take a break, but then come right back with the next episode.